Ready, Jim. Sarah, can you hear us?
Okay, let's call the meeting or the roll call, please.
Delmeyer,
Here.
Kiesling,
Here.
Klinkhammer,
Here.
Miller,
Here.
Reich.
Here. Okay, we'll start as always with citizens' input. If you're here to address the council on the reconstruction for Autumn Drive, there will be 2 public hearings. We'll take input for those at that point in time. You're certainly welcome to talk now, but just in general, anything to address the council, now is your opportunity, and then you can speak to the reconstruction, the resolution necessity, et cetera, during the public hearings. So anyone address the council?
Rue, 280 Summer Drive. Just, is there any update on the roundabout? And is there any time frame or have we purchased any land yet? Thank you.
And we'll move on to consent agenda. Council, do I have a motion to approve or anything held for separate discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Call roll, please.
Delmeyer,
Aye.
Kiesling,
Aye.
Klinkhammer,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Reich.
Aye. Consent agenda is approved 5-0. Reminder, use your microphones. We are recording as always. So we'll start with the first public hearing. This is a public hearing on the proposed resolution necessity for the Autumn Drive reconstruction project. At this time, anyone wants to address the council, please come forward. State your name and address for the record, please.
Governor, I actually live in Dubuque. I represent the Oxus Grotto at 3011 Autumn Drive. I don't know. I'm waving my hand. I guess it's an unintentional fair catch. But so I don't know, as a nonprofit, are we the same standards as a homeowner? We actually have now a street in front of our building, and so it's just a little section out on the end, but I guess we're considered Autumn Drive. So that's just my concerns.
And we'll answer that question when it comes back to council for you.
Okay.
Anyone else address the council? Nobody on Zoom, right, Beth? Just Sarah?
There's just Sarah.
Okay. And then I will accept the motion to close the public portion of the hearing.
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, council, you have resolution 150 of 2023, a resolution amending proposed resolution necessity for the Autumn Drive reconstruction project. Or you have 150 of 2023, a resolution approving a resolution necessity for the Autumn Drive reconstruction project. Beth, can you answer Mr. McGovern's question, please?
That would probably be more like a nay just to. Well, one of the things for the Oxus Grotto is, even though there's the parking lot access that's in front of your building, you still have frontage that is along Autumn Drive, and you have an Autumn Drive access. So, or that's why you have an Autumn Drive address. You are just assessed for the portion that is along Autumn Drive. I can look up what your frontage is, and then anything that is, 100% then into your driveway.
And Beth, as a nonprofit, that doesn't have any bearing, but they could be eligible for relief under the, I don't know, the policy doesn't address nonprofits, but
The policy at the current time, no, does not address nonprofits as far as relief. The assessment's based on the value of the property at a state rate not to exceed 25% of the property. Generally, we assess significantly less than what 25% of the property values are.
okay.
without any comment or without any proposed amendments, then I will propose that we approve resolution 150-2023, resolution of necessity for Autumn Drive reconstruction project.
Second.
Call roll, please.
Stonemeyer,
Aye.
Kiesling,
Aye.
Klinkhammer,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
That's approved 5-0. You can call us. We can talk to you tomorrow if you want. Thank you. All right. The second public hearing is on the proposed plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the Autumn Drive reconstruction project. Anyone address the council on this public hearing? Do I have a motion to close the public portion of the hearing?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 151-2023.
I'll make a motion to did we make a motion to open the public hearing? Are we closing? Which one are we on? I'm sorry, Jim.
Public hearing number 2, plan specs, and I ask for public input. Oh, I'm sorry. Back up. Yep, I'm sorry. Yeah, so, yeah, resolution 151 of 2023, a resolution ratifying the preparation of detailed plans, specifications, notice of hearing, notice of bidders, and form of contract for the Autumn Drive reconstruction project.
I'll second Karen's previous motion.
Any discussion on 151 of 2023? Call roll, please.
Stonemeyer,
Aye.
Kiesling,
Aye.
Klinkhammer,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
All right, my apologies. That's approved 5-0. Now we will enter the public hearing public hearing on the proposed plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the Autumn Drive reconstruction project. And this time, anyone wish to address the council, please step forward. We don't open, we just. I only see a motion. Public hearing,
So move.
Second.
all
Aye.
opposed? Okay, you have resolution 152 of 2023, resolution finally approving and confirming plans, specifications, form of contract, and the estimate of cost for the Autumn Drive reconstruction project.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 152 of 2023.
I'll second.
A motion and second, any discussion? Call roll.
Stonemeyer,
Aye.
Kiesling,
Aye.
Klinkhammer,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
Okay, that is approved 5-0. Move on to the new business versus appointments for P and Z.
Just for Ron Brass and Dave Kubik are up, and recommendation is reappointment of those 2 members to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Their 5-year terms.
They've been on it for a while, correct?
That's correct.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval for Ron Brass and Dave Kubik to the Planning and Zoning Commission for 5-year terms.
Second.
Motion made to second to appoint. Any discussion? 2 very knowledgeable people, so I'm happy to hear that they've applied again and you're accepting their application. So, no further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We have Mr. Pettigrew, are you here tonight? So Mr. Pettigrew, if you've read your thing, he's requested for financial assistance for a sewer lateral. Did you want to address council, please? Go ahead.
So I live at 2539 Amber Ridge Drive. Been there since 2015. The sewer's backed up 3 times. Upon inspection with the camera, the cast iron pipe collapsed from the sewer in the middle of the street into my yard. Upon further examination, everything, found out that cast iron was a code when my house was built and now it's not. I was looking for some financial help on that. I'm not asking you to pay for the whole thing. I'm not asking for anything I don't feel is worthy. I just feel like since you guys set the code and it failed, and now I don't have to have cast iron. I think you're somewhat liable.
Okay. Council, any questions for Mr. Pedigo?
Do you know when the original pipe was put in?
The house is 19 years old, so I would assume 19 years.
I guess the other issue that I just would, while I sympathize with it, I personally have experienced a change in code too. We had plastic water laterals. There's a lot of those in the city of Asbury, and ours broke twice, and they changed the code to copper now, and I've paid over $6,000 to fix it because I know by code the water laterals are our responsibility too. So
Yeah,
I sympathize with you, but I mean, it was code and they put it in and codes change, but
Blaine, how frequent, how common occurrences of lateral repairs for cast iron?
Is that the reason the code changed?
Council, any discussion or any?
I do sympathize also
Sure.
with you, and
And
I just feel at this time we cannot have set a precedent for it because it could happen how many
and
times
I
and
was
would-
shooting in the dark. Didn't know. There again, I know as a homeowner I have responsibilities, but I also know that poor planning per se. I mean, I'm in the automotive industry, and there's a lot of times where things are done that shouldn't have been done. Like that's why I'm just exploring my options.
Is there any motion to offer financial assistance or?
I guess I'm gonna have to make a motion to deny the request at this time.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any other discussion? Yeah, I'm sorry, I think we're
Absolutely.
pretty slippery slope.
Thank you for hearing me.
All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, we'll move on to resolution. Beth, is that available yet?
Unfortunately, no, Ted's not available just
Okay.
yet, so.
We're just gonna hold this till the end if we can. The attorney had a conflict. He should be joining us late. So if your permission, we'll move on to resolution 154 of 2023, a resolution approving the 5-year CIP. Beth, any final updates, review?
Were we going to discuss the roundabout before we go about approving the CIP?
Discussion about versus of the
Yeah, I know Beth has the exhibit she'll pull up here. It might take a moment. But the main design change to the single roundabout option, so that would be a 4-legged roundabout at Hales Mill, bringing Radford over to Hales Mill. We just changed the tie-in with Radford to a T intersection that would be stop controlled on the north side of the intersection. So it'd just be a stop control for the subdivision to the north. It'll be easier to see once the image is available.
I'm sorry. I forgot to use the speaker. I'm sorry.
So did I. So as you recall, when the rerouted southern leg met up with Asbury, or I'm sorry, with Radford, there were like sweeping turns. And that required us to acquire portions of 3 lots. So we had some discussions with, I'm sorry, I'm stealing your thunder here. Maybe you
No,
take it
that's
from
fine.
there.
I just changed, we talked with, and we brought Ben Wilkinson into conversation too,
Athletic-
the traffic engineer, but we changed it. We made sure we went to a minimum radius on around the corner, the bend in the road with the realignment to for 25-foot or 25-mile-an-hour street. And then we tied into Radford. Yeah, so you can see where we tie into Radford Road with that image property to the south before we were going through that property as well. Because we were going to try and have an intersection off of our new realignment that goes to that subdivision to the north. And that way traffic, would ride a little bit easier staying on Radford to go over to Hales Mill. With the stop control on the north side of the intersection is showing there, traffic that's on Radford that wants to turn onto Hales Mill now on that image won't have to stop. They'd be able to, traffic would just flow as normal. And there was, so we're impacting less property. I believe the way it looks there, there'd be 4 total impacted properties or that would be necessary for this option. Mhm. Yes, that's just one property, and it'd provide 100 feet of right of way if that's the way the city would want.
Of the 3 properties in yellow, they're all owned by Luther Manor. They're all income property. There's no permanent residence, if you will. And the one in Radford has been sold to, we believe, to someone who's flipping it. So, they'll be made aware that there is a building moratorium in the area. If they want to flip it, there's limits to what they can do, but we're not going after anybody's home per se. And, this is probably, oh my God, 3, 5, 10 years out.
Yeah, those would just be minor right of way acquisition.
And to remind you that if the design and the placement and the cost of the roundabout as we would build it in 2025 will not change whether you go with this option or the dual roundabout later. It is unchanged. Future council's hands are not tied if they wanted to come back to a dual roundabout later if you chose this option.
The
Correct.
three-legged roundabout, the three-legged roundabout, this has funding for that. So this would be like a phase one of, the roundabout to see if that helps the traffic congestion at the Hales Mill Asbury intersection. The council had on the table an option to make it what we're showing here, going to Radford, or doing a double roundabout and doing another roundabout here at the intersection of Radford and Asbury. So phase one is going to be doing the three-legged roundabout. Phase two is for council to, come to a decision as to if we want to, can go on this path where Halesville Road is connected, through to Radford Road, or you go with that double roundabout option.
And in this example, the yellow that's at the top of Radford Road, that's where Radford Road would be closed off, correct? There's no through traffic on Radford Road anymore with this design.
That would be abandoned and potentially could be sold to the adjacent property owners. I don't know how you would close it off. I'd hate to put up a barricade and say, road closed for the next how many years, but yeah, we would somehow tear that up, I would think, aesthetically. Exactly. You wouldn't want a road that, and it's no, the adjacent property owners may have some use for it for parking if nothing else, but
The only concern I have with this design, and I know we asked to cut the cost, is that I'm concerned about that right-hand turn instead of the sweeping. And I know it's to save from having to buy another property. But that sweeping turn onto Radford is now a right-hand turn, and I didn't know if that was an issue.
well, and Nate, I'll put my mouse there right here. That would be a stop sign potentially. If you think about it, the only traffic that would be on this road here would just be,
Asbury Circle.
so they wouldn't have to yield, at least. You're right, they would have to slow down to make the turn, but they've already slowed to 15 to 20 miles an hour. There's a big delay. Sorry, I'm better with this than mouse, as you come through there. I mean, we can march towards this for the next 3 to 5 years of property acquisition, and if the council in the future wanted to do that sweep, they certainly could. We're kind of pushing this because, I've been around the bush, the properties are going to be for sale. So if there's a time to make a decision to take this option, it's now, rather than,
And I believe it's also worth mentioning, Jim, just because this is functionality wise is better than two roundabouts, this option here. So engineering wise and functionality wise, that would be the recommended option.
yeah, I mean, you could, the original one, we'd have to add, I don't know what the value of that house is, Beth, probably a good $250,000, $300,000 to acquire that southern.
I mean, we're still at a point where we're just putting lines on the paper where if council decides they want to not have that right angle, and, make it more, less of a curve or more of a curve that, yeah, we would just mean that we would have to acquire two properties along Radford Road instead of one. But, in the spirit of, trying to minimize the impact to, adjacent property owners, the property that's there is 102 feet wide and definitely, fits into what the normal, street width that we have is.
So it's all kind of dependent on what happens with the properties from Luther Manor, right? And
No, I mean, they could go on the market and be sold, and then, if you decide you want to do this, or let's say you stay, as a council, want to stay with the 2 3-legged, and a future council in 5 years, like, no, doesn't make sense, we're going to do this. Now they're going to have to acquire properties that, appreciated in value, potentially eminent domain, and you're no longer taking rental property, you could be taking someone's house. So, we, we brought this back because we knew the Luther Manor was going to be abandoning their plans for all the development that forced you into, I'll use the word force, but encourage you to go to a different option. This was always, you remember, this was your first choice. And at the request of Luther Manor, we went to a less desirable, strictly from construction perspective, a more expensive option. So we don't need to appease the Luther Manor development any longer. It doesn't exist. So do you want to go back to this option? If so, the timing is good to do so. I think, we do need to notify some property owners. There is a minor change for them, but for most of them, not much.
To address Mr. Grew's comment about this, the status of the roundabout, the three-legged roundabout. Right now we have funding, and it would be probably construction year 2025 that we would be looking to have that constructed, and that's when the funds come available.
So what are we looking for as far as the council? Are we making a motion to go back to this then?
That's the question at hand. Do you want to go back to your original plan, or do you want to stay with the one that was modified at the request of Luther Manor?
Then I make a motion that we go back to the original plan with this this change of the sweep to a T intersection down here. Oh, sorry, with one roundabout.
I'll second that.
Yeah, because we're on the CIP discussion, so. Well, yeah, we do, but the motion would be to approve this CIP with the changes that discussed, because the CIP changes with this.
Then still move what you just said.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
CIP, I also want to make sure that we went through the CIP last week, which included, multiple projects, multiple areas, streets, water, sewer, meadows, parks. I'd also like, before we make a motion, is to make sure that, council is, is there any other projects you want to talk about besides the roundabout? The roundabout was the major one, but you're going to be looking at the 5-year CIP. Of course, it can be amended, but, let's make sure we include all projects.
Yeah, so the reason this is coming up in the CIP is because we want the CIP to address which option you want. I would caution you that we probably should at least notify the property owners before you, give your stamp, because just because it's in the CIP is a single roundabout doesn't mean you're committed at this point, right? We're just trying to wrap up the CIP right now.
Right.
I think we need to have another meeting with the property owners because, there's a couple of them, this is their side yards now.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I guess where I'm at is if we're making a motion to proceed in this direction, then that would be the next step, unless I'm, out of order somehow.
Well, this option would go into the CIP. That's all you're doing tonight. And you can say you're done. We're not talking about it ever again. That's entirely up to you. My feeling is this is a change, and the property owners, specifically in my mind, the ones on Radford Road, who now have a street on their side yard, I think we owe them a discussion.
Could I ask you to pull back your motion for the time being till we get to the CIP?
And-
So we can talk about the whole CIP?
Yeah, we just want to get the CIP to reflect the project as you envision it.
Fair enough. I removed my motion from the floor.
Well, you're gonna make a motion to approve the CIP with the option you want. This is strictly a financial decision tonight for the CIP. Now, again, you can say you're done. We're going with a single roundabout and over, right? I'm saying you at least owe a discussion with these property owners.
I'm not saying that we would deny a discussion with the property owners. I'm just saying, in my mind, this is the direction that I would like to go. And I guess since Bob was ready to second me, then he's.
Well, if that's
ready to go.
the council direction, that's where you want to go, then I guess we don't need to meet with the property owners because your minds are made up. That's all I'm saying. Well, I mean, you see my point, right?
I do.
If your minds are made up, then there's nothing to talk about. But if you want to listen to the council, and you have to be open-minded in that there might be some compelling reason. If that's the case and you decide to go back to the three-legged, then we'll just modify the CIP.
The way Beth presented this in the document, which I like, is on this 4-legged roundabout, there was phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 would be to get the 3-legged roundabout in place that we previously approved, and it's on the CIP. And then phase 2 would